Republican Congressman Jimmy Patronis. Congressman, always good to have you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Markey.
So what does Crowley's win tell you about the limits of the Democrats, lurch to the left, if you will? You crunch the numbers. He only won this thing by 3,000 votes.
Yeah, and look, the Republicans, we would have preferred to have Hong as the nominee. She was crazy. She hated Halloween. She hated Thanksgiving. But what you had is there at the end, those pushes of her messaging, the radicalness of some of her philosophy scared the Democrats to show up in the polls. I mean, literally, when you have a razor thin win like was last night, the moderate Democrats said, you know what, I don't want somebody that crazy being our nominee. They woke up and they showed up on Election Day.
And at the same time, we saw progressive Peggy Flanagan take Minnesota's Democratic Senate primary by more than double digits over the establishment-backed candidate. So she'll face off against former NFL reporter Michelle Tafoya in the fall. What do you think Tafoya needs to do to win in a race that Cook Political Report says is likely to go to the Dems there?
You know, look, those races in the general election, it's just about getting your voters out. In that particular case, you have got a radical that has won, a Democratic social who has won the primary nomination on the Democratic side. There's some momentum there. Michelle Tafoya is going to have a message that resonates with the voters of the state. And then look, it boils down to the same things we've been fighting for. Passing the one big beautiful bill, and those benefits do not trickle down into the average household immediately. It usually takes over a year for those tax benefits to kick in. Gas prices have stabilized, but they're not where they were. So all those things will be critical with consumer sentiment and household budget sentiment come November.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking to Mitch Rochelle about right before I brought you on. So President Trump had mixed results in Tuesday's primary races. Senator Darling Graham, which is his pick in South Carolina's Republican Senate primary, she was the top vote getter. She'll now advance to that runoff against Congressman Ralph Norman. But his pick in Minnesota's governor's race, former MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, he lost by double digits. And it's the third time that a Trump-backed candidate lost a gubernatorial race in this cycle. I know that the president endorsed you in your primary race next week. Are you worried that the Trump bump, if you will, might be losing a little steam?
No, look, I'm honored and proud and very thrilled to have the Trump endorsement. Look, the Trump endorsement works in almost every single race, but you also got to look at the quality of the candidate. Mike Lindell has had some ups and downs, both in business and politically. Sometimes they say, all news, even though if it's bad news, is good news. I think Mike Lindell just had too many challenges to overcome. And he and the president are friends. He's been a great supporter of the president. But even sometimes, even the president's endorsement can't help all candidates, especially if they've got some enormous challenges from previous decisions to overcome. I mean, it's a great endorsement to have. I'm glad to have it. But even some candidates are a little more challenged than others.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out next week in Florida. Take me to Florida this morning. Not your race, but in South Florida, something that caught our eye. There's a candidate there, Oliver Larkin, who's running for Congress as a, quote, proud Democratic socialist. And a new poll, has him virtually tied with Congressman Jared Moskowitz. What are the chances Florida sends a Democratic socialist to Congress, sir?
Look, there's a chance. I served with Jared in the state legislature. He's a former emergency management director for the state of Florida. So he's kind of a common sense Democrat, but he's not running against a common sense Democrat. He's running against a crazy Democrat, a Democrat that's full of vitriol and hate. So, look, it's just who gets the enthusiasm at the point of election is what we're in. A week is left, and, it's kind of hard. You can't do any more mailing. It's too late. So, it's going to be what can you get on TV to convince the voters? I don't know how many undecided are in that race. I think Jared will probably squeak it out, but mince no words. This new wing of the Democratic Party, they're bad for society. They are crazy, but they have said are saying inflammational type of statements that are getting them a lot of attention. And again, just like I said earlier, even bad attention is good attention, and that's what this crackpot's able to pull off.
And just from our polling numbers here, 22% of that poll said that they are undecided or don't remember. We'll be watching closely not only that race, but yours as well next week. Congressman Jimmy Patronis, would love to have you back on in the coming days, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Marky. Have a great day.
You as well. Okay.